pretty easy to use, by the way, because I thought about using it. It's a pretty nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Real Results Show, where we feature real health coaches and health practitioners getting real health results for their clients and themselves. As always, I'm your host, Brendan Vermeyer. I'm a clinical advisor for FDN, and I'm the director of our tribe's awesome association, where we support our community with ongoing education regarding a variety of clinical and business building topics. I actually just got done with a super awesome Detective Hour webinar where we present different cases to walk our tribe through different complex cases so we can help each other learn and overcome some of these challenging cases. But anyways, that being said, this week I'm really stoked to have my good friend Kylene Terhune on the show. And we have some great information for you, so make sure you stick around. And if you're not able to stick around, I totally get it. But go ahead and drop the word aspiring, all caps, aspiring, into the chat box below, and we can get more information too. But welcome to the show, Kylene. How are you doing tonight?
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I'm doing good.
Good. Well, I'm super excited to have you. You're, I don't know. I can't be biased with my tribe or anything, but you're definitely in my top 10 list of favorite tribe members or whatever. I'm just going to leave it at that. But you're awesome. And I've really been looking forward to this, getting you on this show, because I personally have been, following your journey and your story on social media. Obviously, we're tight like that, but, I've been following it. And it's been a beautiful thing to witness and watch. So I really am looking forward to hearing you share bits and pieces of your journey and your story tonight. So I'd love to kind of kickstart this convo and have you tell us a little bit about, what prompted you to become an FDN practitioner, and we'll get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. So in 2015, I'm just going to get right to it.
Yeah,
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. In 2015, I had a complete breakdown. And there's no really nice way to say that. That's what it was. My body stopped functioning. I spent about 2 weeks with total insomnia, intrusive thoughts, anxiety all day, every day. It was basically like a chronic panic attack. It was very, very scary. I didn't know what was happening on many, many levels. I was a few years into my marriage, and I was totally freaking out because my husband had to come home from work several days to literally babysit me. I didn't feel comfortable being alone after a certain point because I wasn't sleeping. And, as soon as you stop sleeping, you can't handle that very long until you get worse and start to feel worse and worse and worse. And that just kind of fed into the anxiety. So I went to see the doctor, and she didn't really have much to help me with. But really, when we went, we were like, man, if she could just give me like a horse sleeping pill or something, if I could get a good night's sleep, that would at least help me kind of wake up and be refreshed and maybe have different perspective. Mm-hmm. And she would give me these sleeping pills, and I think I tried a couple and they weren't working. And so I went back the next week, and she wanted to offer me an antidepressant. I mean, and this is true. I was crying all day, every day. It was a horrible experience. But I also knew I wasn't depressed. That's not what was going on. Yeah. I did know enough at the time. I was interested in nutrition. I was interested in listening to different podcasts and things. So I had just enough information to ask, hey, should I get my hormones tested? She said, well, if you're cycling normally still, I don't really see any benefit or reason to do that. And so I said, okay. I went away from her office. We went to lunch together, and I remember holding my husband's hand and just crying because at that point I felt like there were no options for me. Mm-hmm. But what I decided to do is follow my gut, and that's kind of been a recurring theme throughout my journey. And I decided to follow my gut. And so I found somebody that would do hormone testing that showed me basically that I was in complete, what we used to think of as adrenal fatigue. Basically my hormones were in postmenopausal level ranges. They weren't functioning properly, which explained so much of what was happening. And all I needed was a little support. That really spurred my curiosity. I was really wanted to know, like, how could I support my body? I never wanted this to happen again. How could I dig deeper? I went through another hormone course like a year later that happened to be run by two women, one of which was an FDN. And I was like, man, what can I do? How can I get certified? I want to learn more to heal myself. And then ultimately it just kind of grew into wanting to help other people through the process. I saw what she knew. I wanted to know what she knew. Looked into the FDN course as well as a few other things. Loved the test, don't guess concept. And that really, really has helped me help others more, as opposed to just working on nutrition, working on lifestyle. If I'm able to get in there and really see like what's going on, we get better results. So that's why I chose FDN, and that's the traumatic experience that spurred it.
Hey, that's the beautiful part about it. Every single person in our tribe, we all have different, but these recurring themes. We all struggled with our health, or maybe it was a loved one, or some combination of, and the majority of us weren't able to get the help, support, guidance, education that we needed through conventional healthcare, which that's not a knock against conventional healthcare. They've got their role to play. We've got our role to play. But the problem in the healthcare spectrum is, all right, we've got reactive drugs and surgery for when that's needed, and that is needed. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you've got kind of what I call like generic health coaching, fitness coaching, nutrition coaching, which, hey, we need a lot of that too, but it is a little bit more generic and kind of applies to anybody. But there aren't enough professionals to fill that gap where we can use objective physiological data about your body, not everybody else's, like your body, what's going on internally with you, in building a customized health building program that then we can guide them through. So we don't medicate, we educate. We're here to educate and empower and guide them through the healing journey, because there's no one else doing it. Somebody's got to do it. So I love that. And I love hearing your story through that. So as you worked through the FDN program, how was your experience of, working on your own health and, digging into our philosophy and our methodology, joining the community? I'd love to hear how your experience is.
Yeah. Oh, it is. Yeah. Well, I'm still here, so it's really good. No, it was really great. One of my favorite things about actually signing up was the fact that you have to run the tests on yourself. Because I was like, great, I'm here to fix myself. Let's go.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I loved doing that part of it. And just, you can take the course on your own time, which was great. So if you're really, really busy, you can spread it out a little bit. If you have all the time in the world, you can just, get it done. But really being able to begin to dig into the different layers, have a mentor, kind of walk through the process, learn about my own body, and then take that knowledge and transfer it to others. It was so cool. And the thing is, there are so many people that are interested, because like you said, it is such a needed niche. Like, I basically was sharing my personal story, my personal journey while I was getting certified. And what I did, I basically had a wait list of people ready to, or interested in working with me by the time I graduated. Cause I was like, hey, this is why I'm doing. These are the tests I'm taking. This is what the experience is like. And they were like, hey, I want that too. So there are a lot of people out there that need it. And, the vision really is that integrative approach.
Yeah, I mean, there's millions upon millions of people suffering from chronic disease, which ultimately is lifestyle and environmental driven, but we're not, our healthcare system does not use lifestyle or environmental interventions. So that looks to me like a good job security, to say the least, and that's being facetious, but certainly you know what I mean. So with your journey, I know tonight, the topic of the night is healthy through Hodgkin's. So I want to dive in. I want to hear, because I've been watching this journey unfold for a while. I see you working on some really exciting projects. So give me the down and dirty.
All right. So for people who can't tell, I just got through treatment for Hodgkin's lymphoma. But really, I believe that the journey of cancer started, 7 to 10 years ago, like many chronic diseases do. And so it was interesting because living in this world as long as I have of health and functional medicine and natural approaches, at first it was very frustrating. I was like, man, I'm doing everything right. I've actually 2 years prior to getting the diagnosis, I had made so much progress in terms of balancing my hormones and regulating my cycles and healing my gut. And just, I really did see improvements in those years that I was working on that. So I was like, what the heck? And now I have cancer. But when you dig into it, and of course, as soon as you get diagnosed with anything, you become the ultimate researcher and the sponge that absorbs all the information, right? Yeah. And so then I began realizing, no, cancer really does not, show up overnight. It's something that's developed for a long period of time. Like an autoimmune disease, there are signs and symptoms and triggers that start building on top of each other years and years and years prior. And so if anything, all of the work that I had been doing before my diagnosis had slowed it down or stalled the progression of this disease. So I kind of had to come, around to that. Besides the fact that I was able to actually look in my iPhone because I found it based on a tumor in my neck. And it was quite a large lump that if I rolled my neck to the side, it would pop out. And I was able to look back in my phone. I found that tumor had been there for at least 2 years before I actually saw it. And so that really solidified to me, hey, this is not something that's going to, just spread throughout my body overnight. I have time to think about that. And that's one of the things in my new platform I'm really trying to advocate to people is you can take time to think. You don't have to jump on this train that's going 100 miles per hour. As soon as we get this diagnosis, we think such scary thoughts and we think I have to start treatment immediately and all these things. But it's just like any other disease. And it took time to get there and it's not going to just, change overnight. So I got diagnosed and then I was faced with, well, what the heck? I'm in the functional medicine community. What do I do? So I, again, took time, asked questions, did my research, and I was so surprised and I'll be honest, disappointed that even those in the holistic and functional medicine world pointed me towards conventional treatment because Hodgkin's is a very unusual cancer in that the efficacy rate of chemotherapy is very high. In fact, 95% of people that get treated with conventional treatment pass that 5-year survival rate. So it's a really high treatment that actually works for people with this cancer. So I was a little disappointed, but I was like, okay, let me think about this. I was getting second opinions. I was getting the staging. I was doing all the research on all the alternative therapies. I was watching all the cancer summits. I was, pulling up whatever I could to figure out what were my options. And one of the things, and I do hope that this changes over time, but one of the things that was frustrating to me is that in the functional medicine world, in the holistic cancer care world, or even the integrative, it's very difficult. It's much more difficult to find testimonials that look like you, that show that it has been completely cured and eradicated. It's very hard to, there aren't a lot of studies on these alternative therapies. It's not that they don't work. It's that, there's so much in terms of politics and big pharma and all these there's so many different layers to it that makes it difficult for these alternative therapies and integrative therapies to have a ton of studies, to get a lot of information. And so it just is harder. It really, really is hard to find them. And a couple of the things that I did find out were that if I wanted to do alternative treatment, I would have to go away from my home. So I'd have to be away from my family for weeks to possibly months at a time to undergo these treatments that do exist, but they would be away from my home. So that was one thing. The other thing was just difficult for me to find a lot of information about my specific, because I was looking here, I was like, okay, chemotherapy gives me a 95% chance that I'm literally going to get rid of it. I wanted, if I was going to choose another therapy, I wanted some assurance that it was going to be a fairly high percentage of cure rate as well. And that was very difficult for me to find. So ultimately, I decided to go with the chemotherapy. Everybody was pointing me in that direction. And another reason that I decided to go with that was because I had stage 1A non-bulky, which meant I had that one single tumor. I already knew that I had had it for 2 years. The efficacy rate was so high. I was like, okay, look, I'm going to knock this sucker out. I'm going to use everything that I have already put in place in my life for the past several years to help me maintain my health during the treatment. And then as soon as it's out, that's going to keep me in remission. And that's sort of the way I viewed it. And so my process was during treatment, I'm not only going to address it with conventional medicine, but I'm also going to address the emotional, spiritual aspect of it. And I'm going to hire someone that specializes in integrative cancer care to guide me through any supplemental tweaks and adjustments I can make. Because with integrative cancer care, you can utilize conventional treatment, but basically avoid all of the major side effects. If not all, most, and you can maintain your strength. You can avoid things like peripheral neuropathy. You can maintain your muscle mass. I didn't actually lose like any weight at all. Mine, I was very, very lucky. I was like, man, of all the side effects that I didn't get. No, but I didn't lose any weight. I never got a mouth sore. All of these things that are really, really horrible that you can experience. I did lose my hair, but it actually never fell out completely. Now, my treatment was a lot shorter. Like I said, I only had that one. It was stage 1A and all of that. So my treatment was a lot shorter than many. But I was essentially able to get through the treatment with minimal side effects and then walk away with no long-term side effects at all from it. And so I really believe that the effort I put in ahead of time and then the intention that I went through conventional treatment with, integrating everything, helped me kind of come out of that. So now that's kind of the education, the information that I want to bring out to other people with the same diagnosis so that they can have the same results.
It's amazing, and I mean, thank you so much for sharing all that. It's really been a remarkable thing to watch. I'd be interested how many, I don't know, like hours I have watched your stories over time over the past few months. And I think it's really cool because, something I feel really passionate about is I'm really tired of the bigotry with, functional versus conventional. Yes. That's such a scarcity, tribal, warrior mindset that's not conducive to the greater goal that we all need to be focused on, which is freaking getting ahead of this chronic disease epidemic that's plaguing our world. So I really like that you were really embracing the best of both worlds. And I think that's the attitude we need. So, when I see stuff like, different, health coaches being set up and busted by government bodies or whatever, I'm like, get out of here. Like, yeah. What are you trying to do?
Or the restrictions of what we're allowed to share with people and how we're able to say things and even well, we could get really deep into it real quick and be like all the censorship that's happening on Netflix and Google. Sites like Dr. Mercola that are helping millions and millions and millions of people, their SEO is dropping by like 99%, things like that. It's nuts.
Yeah, all the politics of it disgusts me, and I tune it out and I just focus on helping as many people as I can reach. You have to, yeah. You have to. There's no other way. But I like that though, because it's not this or that. It's not this versus that. It's whatever gets the job done, whatever works, whatever gets people better in the most effective, sustainable manner possible. And I think. And that's where, even though, I'm a very functional, holistic dude, but I also still, will advise clients of like, go to your doctor, get antibiotics for this thing, or, right. Whatever it is, because we've got to be more open-minded in the sense of like, confirmation bias. We're opinionated creatures by nature. So, our way. It's like, no. It's like, so anyway, I'm just rambling, but I like that because, I'm right there with you. If I got diagnosed with some kind of cancer tomorrow, I'm probably going to be doing some conventional treatment, but you bet your bottom dollar I'm going to be doing everything I can with lifestyle, environment, the holistic side to optimize the outcome, period. Period. There's no debate about that. The more kind of pre-work you do going into such a thing, or the work that you're doing on the side outside the conventional, it's only going to help. You know what I mean?
It's really, really important. I think you have something that's extreme where you need conventional care. They're good at diagnosing, they're good at surgery, they're good at saving your life, right? And so there's absolutely situations where you absolutely have to get that care. And I would never ever say, I'm going to take a pill when I need to take brain surgery. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, a lot of the conventional therapies, as valid as they are, come with side effects. And that's where like the integration and the natural approaches can help so much. It's that well-rounded approach. You want to just make sure your body is strong. You just want to make sure you're not contributing. Like just nutrition is a great example of that. You want to make sure that you're not contributing by something that you have complete control over to this chronic inflammation in your body, when that's the last thing it needs to be focused on. It needs to be focused on healing somewhere else.
Right. Well, yeah. And it's like, medications are very powerful. Supplements can be very powerful, but neither of those things are as powerful as the hundreds of choices that each of us make every damn day with our lifestyle or, our environment to some degree. So that's where it's like, it's going to take all the above. It's going to take, environmental medicine, lifestyle medicine, nutrition as medicine, fitness and exercise as medicine. I love that you mentioned the spirituality and psychology. That's something I'm very passionate about, where and some, I feel very strongly that if we're not addressing the brain game, the outlook, the psychology, the neuroplasticity, the higher sense of purpose that we all aspire to self-actualize, you'll never heal. We directly know how that stuff has a negative impact on the biochemistry and physiology. Sunlight increases T regulatory cell function. So it's like, let's get some sunlight. Let's de-stress. Let's get back to our natural roots. And let's use the best conventional treatment that science can spawn up as needed to save our lives. But so I love that. So tell us a little bit about, where are you at now? I know you're cooking stuff up in the kitchen right now.
I am. I have so many things. Well, I have a book. So I just wrote a book, and I am.
Wait. Yeah. I just wrote a book?
I just wrote a book.
Right.
Yeah. So I got to edit that, and I'm kind of trying to figure out exactly how I want to use it. It's pretty much, I think, going to be like just a resource for my Healthy Through Hodgkin's. But, it's not going to go so into like details that someone that's just interested in sort of overall information wouldn't find it interesting. It's got humor in it, shares my story, that sort of thing. But really what I want to utilize it mostly for is an educational resource for Hodgkin's patients. So like, this is a book that you can hand somebody right when they get diagnosed. And my hope is that it's, hey, she's super relatable. She knows what I went through. These are some tools that she utilized. It's not like a protocol. It's just information where, hey, this is something that she used. Maybe I can look into that as well. Or, I talk about the emotional aspect. I talk about the spiritual aspect. I talk about all these different things in the book. I used supplements. I did, and I tell little stories in it and everything. So I'm really excited about that. I'm just going to kind of have to push myself across the finish line there through the editing process and then getting it out into the hands. But I created a Healthy Through Hodgkin's community on Facebook as well. So it's just a page where really anyone's welcome, but specifically there for Hodgkin's patients or Hodgkin's family members. And the reason I created this, when I got diagnosed, I looked for Facebook groups, and I kind of got overwhelmed and pulled back and didn't participate very much, because what I was seeing in them is not that they weren't wonderful people with kind hearts. It was just really scary. There would be a lot of posts about side effects, a lot of posts of pictures of things that were happening to people. It was very overwhelming. A lot of posts about recurrence and things like that, and talking about, second, third tries of chemotherapy. Now we're going on to immunotherapy. Now, it's just a lot of like fear-based information, and it was kind of peer-to-peer. And there's nothing wrong with that. It just wasn't what I wanted to see in my feed when I got diagnosed, because I was very overwhelmed and there was a lot for me to think about, and that's not what I wanted to see. So when I created my Facebook group, I really, really, really wanted it to be a very positive, encouraging platform. So I am talking about integrative care, but anything that's being posted, like I'm a mediator. So I am bringing in information. If there's a product that is posted, it's been approved by me. I go live and kind of share my story and encourage people and talk about, things that helped me. I share my blog posts. I bring other podcasts in from experts that are really helpful. But the point is to keep it very uplifting and hopeful and share information that maybe people don't have access to. Because I was very blessed in the fact, I think God totally planned the timing of it, that I was already in this world and had people that I could reach out to and knew what was available to me. And so I was able to very easily kind of put my team together and go. And I think a lot of people just don't even know that that's an option. So that's kind of what I'm doing with the Healthy Through Hodgkin's. That's a free Facebook group that's available. Eventually the book will be published. And meanwhile, I'm kind of growing that advocacy platform and empowerment platform. I'm still working my FDN business where I help women between like 25 to 48 with chronic gut problems. And that's been a lot of fun and that's growing and I'm still loving it. So got a lot of things going on right now.
Yeah, you do. So exciting too. And you said two words in there that kind of like trigger words for me, where hope and fear. And what I just heard you say is basically the emotion of hope helps healing, and the emotion of fear impedes healing. And that's something I feel very strongly about. Kind of in I won't go on that tangent, but the psychology having a very direct impact on our physiology. And I would hands down, based on the evidence, the research, everything I've seen, I think fear as an emotion is a very, like, literally, and I'm not being metaphorical, like literally toxic to the body.
Oh, 100%.
Impeding immune function. And there's plenty of evidence to support that. Whereas like hope, uplifting, empowering, and inspiring hope, I think hope is the most rejuvenating and healing emotion. And so, literally what you just described as what you're trying to accomplish, there's no greater force of healing. There's no medication. There's no fancy supplement or fancy diet that is as powerful as that. So I think what you're doing is, kind of the purest medicine of all.
Thank you. Yeah. One of the most powerful things I think you can do when you're in a situation like that is so scary is to keep thinking future thoughts about really positive things that you're going to experience in your life. And I was really lucky. We're like building a house right now, so I got to think about my house a lot. We decided to plan a remission vacation, so I would like picture my vacation. But whatever it is for you that you can really just latch onto and focus on, just envision it, like visualize it, think about it, sit with it. It's a really, really, your mind is a really powerful tool. And it's not that you're not going to have days that are very sad. It's not that you're not going to cry. It's not that you're not going to have fear at some point during these processes, even if it's not cancer, just really long healing journeys, it gets you feel like 5 steps forward, 3 steps back. It's hard. But what's going to get you out of bed and able to do it again and overall having that positive mentality is hope.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Yeah, I think that's absolutely crucial. I mean, whether it's visualization, strategies for, a client healing program or something much bigger, as you just described, I think that is crucial, because otherwise you start dwelling and you lose yourself in the kind of toxic cesspool of the current, fear rather than, anyways. So that's its own whole thing.
It's hard. It's hard.
It is. So
we all have our moments.
Right. Oh, totally. It's an ongoing thing. But as we're starting to wrap up, so how can people, if they just search in Facebook, like Healthy Through Hodgkin's, or how can they find your page and all of that?
Yeah, so Healthy Through Hodgkins is my Hodgkins support page. So that's, I believe, the only one that will pop up with that title. It should be. It's fairly unique, I hope. And if you are sort of vibing with me, but maybe you're totally not interested in cancer at all, I have another free Facebook group. It's called Stop Dieting and Live Your Life. So that one's available as well. Both of them are free. I go live in both. I share a lot of information in both. So
I love it. And yeah, so I mean, you've got Healthy with Hodgkins as kind of its own entity, and then obviously your FDN biz rocking. So I think that's great. And you know, we tend to attract people that are like a reflection of ourselves and whatnot. So I love it. I'm so proud of everything that you're doing, and I've loved watching your journey. And definitely, I'm still hellbent. I'll get you on the Holistic Savage podcast, and we'll rock that. So I haven't forgotten. We'll get you on there.
Sounds good.
Because I want. That's what I love about the podcast is I just go for as long as I want. You know?
Right. There were like 10 times today that we could like go so much deeper. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I know. It's like 30 minutes. It's like it's like a trailer. It's like a teaser. So we'll have a round 2, and we're just gonna go into it. So. Sounds good. But conference. Will I see you there?
No, I'm so sad. So, but here's what I have to say this because it's going to be helpful to somebody out there right now. Yeah. I had to come to a hard decision this year, and that was I'm not doing any more conferences this year. I'm just going to take the rest of the year for healing. And it's not, I am taking a vacation in October with my husband. So I was like, you know what, on top of that, there were 2 other conferences I wanted to go to, FDN and Wise Traditions, and the West End A Price Conference. And I was like, well, I'd like to go to both or one or the other or something, and I was like, you know what, I can't. I can't do that much travel right now. I have to kind of work on the plates that are spinning, and then tell myself that it's okay to take a little bit of a break right now. So it's hard. I think that's one of the hardest things to do is to say no and not do stuff you want to do really badly.
Yeah, no, I get it, but good for you.
But I will be there in spirit.
Yeah. No, good for you for looking inwards, doing what you need to do.
And I will tell you, this will make you feel good. You know what really, really, really made me want to come to the conference? I really, really, really wanted the oat training. I'm going to get it anyway, but it'd be great to have it live.
Yeah, it'll be a fun live workshop, but the course will be, pretty baller, and we'll have recordings and all of that. But you just my heart will heal. But you'll be there in spirit. You know what I should do is at a family reunion a few years ago, my cousin's fiance couldn't be there, so they had a big picture of his face on a little thing, and so they were just carrying it around, and we would add it into pictures.
Yes, that's amazing.
So I think we might have to do that with you.
There you go. Yeah. That'd be great.
Awesome. Well, so certainly for those that have been watching and tuning in, I hope you enjoyed this episode and hearing a bit about Kylene's story. But be sure again, if you're interested in this FDN stuff, whether you're an aspiring health coach, or maybe you're already some kind of coach or practitioner or whatever. But if you're interested, be sure to drop the word aspiring, all caps, in the box below here. And you can get more information about the course. We have awesome course counselors that can help you decide, is this the right fit for you? As we were just talking about, we have an amazing FDN conference in San Diego, November 1 through 3. That we still have tickets for. So I've been telling everybody that's kind of on the fence about FDN, well, instead of, doing the big commitment for the course, do a much smaller commitment, go to the conference and immerse yourself into the tribe, the community, the environment. And you're very quickly going to be able to tell, it's either not at all for you or it's exactly where you want to be. So
yeah, that's a good recommendation.
Yeah.
You'll get to meet people right away. You'll get to hear some good speakers. You'll get to see some cool products. Yeah, that's a good idea.
It's the mecca of it. So I've invited 6 of my friends and stuff so far. Well, I plan on rolling in with a posse.
That's amazing. I love it.
Yeah. Well, Kylene, thank you so much for being on the show again. Again, such teaser. We'll have around 2. But yeah, I think you're doing incredible work, and you're just such a light, for the world. So keep doing your thing.
Thank you. And thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. We'll talk soon, my friend.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. See you, everybody.